Hi everyone, it's me, Krylios, Team Rayceen Productions MC and producer. I am here with Rayceen Pendarvis and Pulitzer Prize winning poet Jericho Brown for this special Team Rayceen Productions presentation, celebrating 2 years of the tradition, the Jericho Brown interview. Rayceen, you have the first question.
Well, what are your thoughts? The tradition has been in print for almost 2 years, and it has resonated with so many people. How do you feel about that?
I am really glad to see so many new readers of poetry. And if my book has anything to do with the word and the power of poetry getting out to more people, I'm very happy about that. I'm particularly pleased to be able to meet so many folks. I wish I could shake their hands, but all of these Zooms, all of these Microsoft Teams, all of these Google Meets where I've met so many people, it reminds me that poetry really is alive and that people take seriously what my poems are about. My poems are about a lot of things, but one of the things I think my poems are chiefly about is love. I mean, if I'm any kind of a poet, I'm a love poet. And it's good to know that people are still willing to invest in love and in love poetry.
And that's so important. Love is important. I think of your poem, Stand, which reminds me of our first evening together. And it's so wonderful, to know that I inspired that.
I love it. And so Team Rayceen Productions has collaborated with you before, Jericho, and we had the privilege of producing an event with you back in 2019 when you were in DC, which was one of the many cities you visited while on tour promoting the tradition. Talk to me a little bit about the touring experience for this book. How was it? What do you remember the most from it? What stands out to you? And do you look forward to touring more?
It's really funny you would ask that question because I loved it and I love meeting people. I love traveling. I never thought I would miss an airplane. I definitely miss being somewhere other than my house right now. But it was a hard time for me, actually. I was dealing with a lot of health issues. There was a lot of stuff going on with me internally. One thing that COVID did allow for, it's so traumatic, such a horrible experience for so many people. But because I wasn't physically having to be in a particular place, I could finally take the time to take care of myself a little bit better. And so while I was enjoying what I was doing, I was also aware, and the more I saw doctors, the more I became aware that there were things going on that I needed to take care of. So it was this really interesting time of my life where everything was very exciting. I was living the dream that I had since I was a kid. And yet at the same time, there was this tinge of worry, there were things that were not going well.
Yes.
In terms of medical issues and health issues. And so I went to the Mayo Clinic at the end of September in 2020. And I've made a few trips there back and forth since then. And now I'm a lot better than I was before. And I didn't realize how much I was masking pain. I had been, when you have a list of things to do and you're going about the list of things to do, I had not just a list, but an itinerary of things to do. I had an agenda, I had months. I really was under the impression, I've made these promises. I have a responsibility. I have to be accountable and I have to show up for these people. And sometimes I was showing up, putting a smile on over a great deal of chronic pain. But today I'm talking to you and I don't feel those pains.
Oh, well, that is beautiful. And that's a blessing. That is a blessing. And it's great to hear stories like this, from someone who many people look up to, because, I, for one, look up to you, someone who's, I've always been delved in literature, from a young age till now. So last year when you won the Pulitzer Prize for poetry, that was a really huge deal. I remember when Czar, gave me the client, he was like, Jericho Brown just won the Pulitzer Prize. I was like, OMG. How was that experience for you? Because I've imagined myself that way sometime. So tell me about it, someone who's actually experienced it.
It was crazy, man. Like I lost it. I remember sitting in front of my computer, listening to her announce various prizes, and she got to the poetry category, and I had been waiting for her to get to the poetry category to see what was going to happen. Not really. It's sort of, you hope somebody says your name, obviously, but you don't really you can't expect a Pulitzer Prize.
Right.
So when she said my name and said the name of my book, I lost my mind. I mean, I was in my bedroom and it turned into a sanctuary in that moment. I was all tears. I remember leaning on the wall, shouting. I was quite happy. And then from that point, from the time she said my name onward, that whole day, and actually probably for about 3 weeks, it was go, go, go.
Yeah.
Text message after text message, phone call after phone call, interview request after interview request. I think in the first week of winning the Pulitzer Prize, I did something like 27 interviews.
Wow.
Sometimes I would be on phone calls in one day. I would be on various phone calls with reporters in 3 different countries, So the Pulitzer was doing all this work that I was not ready for. I was ready in terms of being able to answer questions.
Yeah.
But I had not cleared my schedule to be a Pulitzer.
Yeah.
We had just finished a semester, which was, that was the first semester. We taught half of that semester via Zoom, remote.
Yeah.
And so I was exhausted and I was ready to go sit down somewhere. I was like, oh, now I'm going to go sit down somewhere.
Because there's a new level that comes with that now. There's a new level that comes with that. Well, that's one great thing that made, your 2020 great. That was a great thing. So, despite, what you just talked to us about some of the hardships there, and of course there were many because it was 2020, there were some gems also within the year, which was great. Talk to me about, creatively, personally, professionally, how you handled all of that during the pandemic, especially now, with the Pulitzer, that's a new thing now. A pandemic is going on. There's just so much there to tackle. How has that affected you creatively and professionally?
One of the wonderful things that I learned from 2020 and continue to learn and get better at is prioritization and the understanding that I cannot do everything. And I cannot do everything in a day or even in a week. And more than ever, I'm capable of saying no. When I was in college, Nikki Giovanni came to give a reading at Dillard University, that great New Orleans, Louisiana. And so when I asked her that age-old question, do you have any advice for young writers? And she said, never say no. And I hadn't said no since that time. I mean, I literally, if you asked me to do something, I was going to find a way to do it. And I had figured out a way even to get my body in 2 places at one time. I'm the kind of person, I'll give a reading at a luncheon in Boston. I remember once I gave a reading at a luncheon in Boston at noon, and I was giving a reading in New York that night at 6 o'clock. I'm always trying to make it happen, for my work, to get the work out. And I really did have to learn that Nikki Giovanni was going to have to give me a different piece of advice. So I quite literally asked Nikki, can I now say no? And she said, oh, Jericho, please tell these people no. Please tell these people no. So I'm learning to say no. And I'm also learning that number 1 on my list of priorities has to be prayer and meditation, even before poetry. I need to center myself. I need to reconnect with my higher self, with the me within me that's greater than I am, and I'm doing that daily in a way that is much more disciplined, more habitual. I was always doing that. But during that tour, I'm trying to do that getting on and off a plane. I wasn't really making the focus happen that's necessary to have that little talk with God, So I was I'm doing that a lot more now. So I learned a lot from 2020. I learned how to take care of myself. I'm eating better. I was not eating better. I have to say, I was not eating better at the beginning of the pandemic and through the.
Oh God.
I had more Doritos than I had in my whole life in one summer. Y'all know I can't say no to Doritos. Y'all might know they recently there was an accident. I think it was an accident. Maybe it was on purpose. I don't know. But the Krispy Kreme, this very popular Krispy Kreme, burned down. And everybody sent me text messages. Everybody was like, Jericho, I'm so sorry. No, I will literally put together a travel plan. If I know I have to pass by that Krispy Kreme, I will go around the block. Because if that hot sign is on, I'm going to the Krispy Kreme.
I love it.
I'm a lot better about that now than I was before.
Awesome. Well, I know Rayceen has a final question for you, but just before I hand it over to Rayceen, Jericho, what advice do you have for a young writer?
Yeah, I used to tell people, because I got it from Nikki Giovanni, I used to say, never say no, but use condoms. But now I think the advice that I give is related to that advice, and that's just live as much as you possibly can. See as much as you can possibly see, and take care of yourself. Put yourself first in that living and in that seeing. Put yourself first. You know, we can be there for all kinds of people all the time, but will we make the time necessary for ourselves to have what we need, to get what we want? You know, we have all these dreams. We have these things we want to do. We're such talented people. Every one of us, a child of God. Can you imagine that? Every one of us, you know, a child of God with our own unique abilities and talents and loves, you know? And you have to believe in that. You have to believe in that, trust that, and take care of it. Do not allow anything to stop you from taking care of what you do well naturally and what makes you happy. So that's what my advice to writers would be.
Wonderful. Yeah. I love it. Rayceen.
Oh my God. Well, as the queen, the shameless plug, I must ask you about what you want to promote and what you have upcoming.
Well, I'm working, so I won't say that I have something upcoming, but I'm actually writing an introduction to an anthology for poets under the age of 40 is what I'm working on right now. So, but I will let you know when things are coming out. But everybody can always catch me at jerichobrown.com. All my emails are public. You don't have to send me a DM asking for the email. You could just look the email up. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, and I'm easy to find. So if y'all need me, you can call me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And for all our viewers who want to see more of Jericho Brown now, please watch Celebrating 2 years of the Tradition, a look back at an evening with Jericho Brown, and the episode of Tell Rayceen with guest Jericho Brown. The links are in the description. Rayceen, closing words?
Oh, but of course, you know, I'm thinking of so many things. But I'm thinking of the last time we spoke, we talked about poets that you were inspired by. And we talked about Langston Hughes. And I just today read Mother to Son.
Oh, wow.
And that was one of my favorite poems by Langston Hughes. And when we talked, I had spoke about In the Morning, and I was wrong when I quoted it was by Langston Hughes. It is by Paul Laurence Dunbar. In the Morning. And I'm thinking about in the afternoon, the day that I met you almost 20 years ago, sitting in a crowded airport, I saw this amazing light over this young man. I saw and I could feel it radiating across the room. And as we were all gathering in our midst of Blackness, queerness, boldness, I felt you and I caught you over.
You did, yeah.
And now I see this young man with this amazing light that has shined in so many places so many stages, so many universities, uplifting and motivating young people around the world. Given the task to teach, which is one of the most inspiring roles, to teach, the ability for those to learn. God saw fit to give you this task, and he saw fit to use you as you stand on the ancestors to invoke Audre Lorde, Richard Wright, James Baldwin. All of those shoulders you stand on. And when he calls you home to be an ancestor, and young people will speak your name, Jericho Brown, and they will stand on your shoulders because your words inspired them. The moments that we had, that you had with them, they will cherish and they will live on in their hearts because of the greatness of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rayceen. Thank
I
you.
love you.
You're trying to make me cry. I think I just want to say thank you. Thank you for that. And I'm really, what I'm really glad about is doing things like this with you so that when that day comes, people can know that we were indeed loving and connected. That we were together, that we spent time together, that we knew each other, that we were in relationship to one another, that there's no question about that. You know, we don't have everything. We don't have every reading, but now because of technology, I mean, aren't you glad? One thing we can be glad about COVID, it did not happen in 1989.
Oh, honey. Because, girl, we jumped on this the moment and we pivoted and here we are.
You know, we can still be together even in this.
Yes.
And when I think about that day, when I think about the day after I'm gone, after we're gone, I also think about how wonderful it is that people will have more of us. You know, we made use of what our ancestors left us, and they will be able to make use of even more because of events like this.
Yes.
And because y'all have this to record it and archive it. So thank you so much. Thank you, Rayceen.
Thank you, Rayceen. Thank you, Jericho. Beautiful words. Thank you for joining us, Jericho. We look forward to seeing you in real life, hopefully soon. This has been wonderful. This has been great. Thanks so much. And viewers, thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.